live, but we're recording. That makes sense.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
You gorgeous son of a gun, you. How you doing?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Oh, I am doing as well as I can
Saturday.
be. It has been a week. For those
been
of
a
you
week,
who are
bro.
watching us from beautiful Florida, you will know that this is the first week of school, and I got 3 of them. And so it's been a week. It's been a week. I had one going into kindergarten. I had one going into middle school for the first time, and then I have another middle schooler who's old hat. He's been there before. He's done it. So
Awesome.
it's been a week, man. How about you?
I've been good. Just work, man. Just the grind. Nothing really bad. It's just busy. Yeah. Thursday. I don't know why. I don't know what happened, but I work at a hospital, and I don't know if the surgeries were delayed, but it just seems like everything came all at once. All the surgeries ended all at once, so we kind of process all the sets and instruments after the surgeries are done. But we just got assaulted Thursday night, and people were just just being crazy. It was just one of those rare crap fests.
Yeah.
But
No, I
we made it
understand.
through.
Made it through. Yeah, we made it through our whole week. It's been a busy summer for us at work, but it's also been busy this week with the kids going back to school. And on top of that, as you know, I was churning out a video every day this week
Yes, I
for
love
the
that.
Savage Crucible stuff, which
What an
was,
honor for you
dude, that was
to
so
be with
sweet of
me
them
on
to
this
do that.
show. Oh, I mean,
I know, right?
what an honor for you that they sent you those prototypes, dude, and let you, show them off to the world, basically, and that helps them. But I mean, that they picked you and your handsome self, um,
Speaking of
is
handsome, look at this right here.
yeah.
Look at that
Uh,
handsome guy, new to Mythics.
thank you.
Yeah, it was really nice of them to do that and very trusting. And I appreciate the faith that they had in me to like not run off with them, and keep
Right?
them or not send them back. It also helped out that it was their last week to pre-order on Wave 2 over at Savage Crucible. That ended yesterday. Did you pick anything up? Did you pre-order
I
anything?
meant to get a Jaeger, and I got stuck on a YouTube show with some friends, and I think we
Oh
logged
man.
out at like 12:30 or something. So
But you had backed the Kickstarter for
yes, yeah,
Wave 2,
I
right? You've
got
got
a
a couple of figures.
Pooh Man and the Frazetta
Ball and
Barbarian with
chain.
the
Yep.
ball and chain, or ball,
Yeah.
whatever it
I
is.
think that's all they're calling him, is the Frazetta Ball and
Yeah,
Chain
and then I
Barbarian.
got a couple of the accessory packs.
Ooh,
The one
those are
that
going to
comes
be
with Pooh
nice.
Man. I wanted to get a Krieger. I wanted to get a Jaeger, but those sound like beers.
I know,
Hey, have
right?
me a Krieger from that Jaeger Light. You got it.
Yeah.
But
You guys got any Jaeger Light? Yep.
I'll probably have to do Big Bad Toy Store when the time right.
It's
Or
a
get the,
fantastic wave. It's a fantastic wave.
they're
I'm really
all
excited. 5
great.
figures, 2 accessory sets.
Yeah,
It's some good stuff. So yeah, that ended, and I'm sure that the pre-orders will start going up at other
I'm
retailers.
sure
And
you helped.
I
Help
hope,
them.
even if I helped, 1 or 2 people. Now, judging by the comments that I got, both on Facebook and YouTube, it sounds like a lot of people were like, "Oh, I was on the fence about this figure, but I'm gonna pre-order it now."
I think their renders, they're okay, but they don't do justice to what the figures look like. Actual 3D
Right?
prototypes. They
Yeah,
just
for
look
sure.
so much better, obviously. But I'm hoping maybe, and it's not really a criticism, but it kind of is, that they would have better renders next time, so that you
Mm,
can really see what the figure looks like. I mean,
right.
we're all visual. We love what the figures, that the visualness of the figure is what convinces us to buy it. So
Sure.
if
Like,
the
yep.
render is I'm gonna be like, I'm not gonna pre-order, or I'm not gonna back that. But I was excited about the Frazetta, and I think I'd seen it at PowerCon last year, so that was
Hmm.
savvy on their part to have that, to actually see
Yeah.
it. So um, I don't know. I'm excited. That wave is going to be a strong.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a
Bigger
strong
piece.
wave for sure. It's they've
Yeah,
got some bangers in there, 100%. Yeah, I'm excited. The other cool thing is that both Savage Crucible and their MAFC were also like sharing them out on socials, on Instagram, and on Facebook. They were posting them and reposting my review, my previews, and so
nice.
that helped. And I garnered a bunch of new subs, and so that
You're
was
well known, man. You're
uh,
you're a star among the community.
well, and I think another thing that's going to help is this week. I mean, we can go ahead and talk about this a little bit. Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, you and I are going to be sitting down with the one, the only Mr. Brian Flynn from Super Seven, which is
That's
an honor for like both of
unreal.
us.
Yeah, that he would actually be on our tiny show. It's all your star power, dude. It drawed him
Oh
in,
no, when
and
I name dropped you, I was like, yeah,
yeah.
it's with Greg Smurber.
Oh
I
yeah,
think you talked
Schmerber.
to him
Yeah,
a
I
couple
remember
times.
that bastard, that scalawag. Um,
Yeah,
but
I've wanted to sit down with Brian for a long time and pick his brain. He is somebody that I don't know. I just feel like a connection to that guy. Like I can feel like his passion for his toys and his company um, in every video. I mean, I know people feel a certain way, about Super Seven, whether it's the price of reaction figures or the price or lack of articulation in their Ultimates line. um but at the end of the day, for me, I love what they're putting out. I mean, he's basically remaking my childhood in plastic form,
absolutely,
so my shelves are filled with their products. And
his property choices too are,
yeah.
they're interesting, but they're also like, yes, you're going after these um, properties that are, like you said. I mean, it's part of our childhood. So
Yeah. I mean, from GI Joe to Thundercats to He-Man to now potentially like Tiger Sharks. And I
I
want to
was,
pick his brain about Mask. I want to know like what's going on with Mask, if
yeah,
they're touching that or not. Like
and
I'm
I'm a
very
huge Godzilla fan, so he's done all kinds of Godzilla. I've got a autographed Godzilla figure from him. Um, but I love that too. That
yeah.
he's all over the monsters and the weird, you know,
Yeah.
weird.
And also another thing is like he came up through graphic design and advertising. And that's my field. That's what I do for a living. That's my 9 to 5. So, and I've always done that. It's what I did it's what I went to college for. It's what I went to, I did all my internships in advertising, and that's what I've always worked in. And I still do to this day. So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like this kinship with him. And it's just like, I feel like, like I would like to be neighbors with this guy. It's like I
Absolutely.
feel like I've always kind of known him or whatever. But
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of weird. But yeah, I'm very excited to like sit down. So we're going to sit down and we're going to sit down and talk with him this Tuesday, and so we're going to do a pre-recorded interview with him. You
Oh,
and
is
I
it
both.
is it pre-recorded? I wasn't sure.
Yeah, we're going to do a pre-recorded. And then we'll post it, and I'll post it on this channel. So next week we will not be live. Next week, what you guys will get, you'll get Greg and I sitting down with Brian Flynn and talking for about an hour about toys and like whatever comes up. We've got some questions we want
Whatever
to
he
talk to
wants
him
to talk
about. And
about.
yeah, exactly, literally. So yeah, that's coming up. And dude, you have had quite a run recently on New to Mythics. You've had some celebrities. You've had our very own Glowman from the chat on
Yep.
your show.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. His episode premieres this Tuesday. Sorry, Randall, that I had to bump you last week. I did it was a gentle bump with love, but
oh, I love a gentle love bump. That's good stuff.
yeah, I just didn't want to. I didn't want too much Schmerber in one week. I didn't want people to have Schmerber fatigue, so I did a live episode um, with Curtis Ackerman, who's a prominent member of the community. Um, on Tuesday, he was doing this. He called it the Gauntlet, where he was doing a mythic related show every different shows every day of the week. And so he
Wow.
asked me if I would do a live on Tuesday. Like, yeah, sure, man. For you, definitely. I'm not usually a live. I don't usually tape live just because logistically it's tough to coordinate times with
Hmm.
people that are on my show. So, but yeah, we worked it out. We did a live episode Tuesday, and then last Sunday I had the esteemed honor of one of the horsemen from the Four Horsemen, Eric Cornboy Mays, was on my show for about an hour and 15 minutes. And yes,
That's why they call him cornball.
yeah, well, yeah, that too. I didn't think about that. Mays is a name for corn,
I know.
but he's from Indiana also.
Yeah, I told you.
Yeah, I always assumed it was because of his last name being Mays.
I never thought
always,
about that. She just made that connection right now. It didn't occur to
No.
me.
Oh yeah, I guess that's why I've always thought that that's why they called him Coin Boy.
Yeah, but he was on my show, and it was wonderful to talk to him. He's super friendly and approachable, and so that was a high honor.
Yeah, I bet you you had like a little mini heart attack when his like phone cut off or
I
something.
was so nervous, dude. I was so nervous. I'd been working on questions, and I just wanted to make sure that I had them. And we did like a pre-conversation where it's like, I'm not going to ask you about your favorite this or that. You know, I just want to ask you things that interest you and maybe things that hadn't been asked before. And he was all for it. He was happy to talk. And then his phone died like towards the end of the conversation. I was like, okay, guys, that's the end of our show. And then he came back, and he talked for another 10 to 15 minutes. But that was fun. It was a fun. I had
Yeah,
a good time. I was honored by that.
yeah, you've
But in the
you've
mythic
had quite
community,
a run.
I couldn't get higher than that. I couldn't get any.
Yeah, it's you can shut it down now. There's you'll
I could. Maybe I should.
you can't go any higher.
Can't go no higher.
I know your goal is probably to get Jeremy on the show, right? Does that will that
I
happen one day, you think?
I asked him, and I had asked him some other stuff. It was an audio thing because he'd reached out to me about our show at Legion's Con. We talked about that, didn't we?
Yeah, last week we talked about how we're going to be at Legion's Con on Saturday,
Yeah.
from 6 to 7 on the third floor. We're going to be on floor 3, and you can come up and watch a live. You can join in and be on a live episode of Double Jointed, live from Legion's Con.
That's going to be a lot of fun. We might have some wares to give away and to peddle.
Yeah,
And, you know, we're going to be kissing babies and shaking moms and
that's right.
and doing all that stuff, or shaking babies and kissing moms, or
I'd rather do that. That sounds great.
yeah.
All right, let's get into it. I've got a pretty big haul this week.
That's what I
Last
hear.
week you had the big haul, and now
Yes.
it's swapped over. So let's get into some pickups.
Get into it.
All right, probably start off because I've got a lot.
Kick it off, buddy. Kick it off.
But you know, before the show, you and I were talking about Rebel Moon, and one of the reasons that I was bringing it up was to talk to you about if you'd seen like the new rated R cuts, the extended director's cuts. But also, my local Walmart. You guys have probably seen these, but these are the Diamond Select, Jimmy and Nemesis were the first two. But I don't check this price out. If you can see this price, look at that right there.
Kablam! $8.
$8, and I think these figures were like, I don't know if they were like $30 to begin with, but for $8, I'm like, yes, sir.
Yeah, you can't beat that. I've been thinking about buying those. Let me know how they are.
Yeah, I've already opened them up and messed around with them. I want to give a shout out to my buddy Jose who found them for me locally, picked them up for me. They were the last
Jose.
two at the. It happened to be my local Walmart, but I just wasn't out and about that day, and he messaged our toy group and was like, hey, here's all their clearance stuff. And I was like, snag me those two. The funny thing is that it's been Rebel Moon radio silence all summer long. And then all of a sudden, Zach drops his, like his rated R versions, a couple weekends ago. My friend Jose found those for me, picked them up. So I picked up those two. And then all of a sudden, the SH Figure Arts version of Jimmy and Cora shipped from came in stock on Big Bad Toy Store. So it's been like in a short period of time. It's a lot
I
of
might pick
Rebel
up that
Moon
Cora
stuff.
figure.
Yeah, she's pretty dope. It's like Diamond Select and SH Figure Arts are putting out different figures of course, Diamond Select's figures are like 7 inches. They have a wave too that they announced with General Titus and Admiral Noble, who's the bad guy in the movie. So those will be the next 2 if they come out from Diamond Select. I don't know if they'll actually come out.
Speaking of Diamond Select,
yeah,
I just happened to open up that classic Captain America last night.
Oh yeah,
have you seen that?
Yeah,
that
thing's nice.
It rocketed up to the top 10 this year. It's a beauty.
Yeah, I just don't collect a lot of like 7-inch scale figures, outside of the occasional McFarlane Batman, which oh man, that reminds me, I got a McFarlane Batman that I don't have on my desk this week.
Which one you get?
I got the manga Batman.
Oh yeah, the gray one.
McFarlane. Yeah,
that's nice. That is
really,
nice.
Really fun. It's built on the Nightfall Batman body.
Yeah,
just has a different head and a different belt, and that's a great body. So yeah, I was happy to get it. What you got?
What you got? Well, I got my ISS in 2 different little boxes, but I didn't go too heavy. But I never had one of these before, but that's I got an ogre.
Yeah, that's a fun figure. I got one of those to customize. So I have
for $40.
Oh yeah,
you can't beat that. I mean, it's a giant green man for $40.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome, and that armor is really easy to paint too. Let's see. Next up on my list, I got some. Speaking of McFarlane, I got a couple of new McFarlane Superpowers figures in this week. I got Guy Gardner,
nice.
Which is a lot of fun. It's going to be in the new Superman movie by James Gunn, played by Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
And then I had to get this guy. I got the Black Manta. Now, I actually did get lucky enough, and I did get a blue Black Manta that came out from the Walmart exclusive Black Manta. I didn't end up getting it at Walmart. I never found it at my local Walmart, but I did order one from Entertainment Earth. I had to order like a whole case, and you were guaranteed one blue Black Manta in that case, I think for like $65, and then I sold off all the other figures. So I basically got that figure for free, but we kind of figured they would reuse the body, and they made it black, which is a lot more, cartoon and like comic accurate.
I have one coming from Amazon.
So I've got that came in this week. Those guys.
Good boy. Easy good.
What else you got?
I got I don't know why. I don't know what's going on with this, but the Beast Warrior Beasts. I don't know if there's like a falling out, or if they're we're only able to do a limited, but it was one per person on the ISS, and they said they're not making any more. Don't ask. So this guy is going to be rare, I think. So
wow, I wonder if they're going to have any available at Legion's Con.
If they do, it's probably going to be very limited. And it sold out like in no time. Were you able to get one?
I didn't even attempt to order like
really,
the regular one, because you got me the exclusive from Zolocon with the extra head part and stuff. So I have one.
Said his jaw is. I didn't even notice, but I'm like, yeah, it is kind of.
Oh, I did see a picture last night on Facebook. Somebody posted, did anybody get one that had a crooked jaw? Maybe it's fixable if you open it up and reposition it.
But I don't know why. I just love this figure. But I'm like,
it's fun.
I don't want to open it if it's going to be super rare. I don't know.
Right. I wish I had one of the old retro versions of that, like the remake, to go alongside of it. But I don't have it in the package. He's actually right up here on my Figure Obscura shelf. I think he's like right there. I'm getting better at mirroring and
I
knowing
like
like
when you
which
do that,
hand
though.
to point and go like, yeah, that's it. I mean, I could always say it's right over. Actually, you know what? I was totally wrong. He's actually right here. There he is. I was
We
absolutely.
can't see it.
I know. I don't even know why.
They were selling at ZoloCon repros of the
Right.
old, and those were expensive. Those were like $60 each, also. And I was like, God damn. Okay.
That's a little expensive. I think I could probably make one out of some like Masters
You
of the
could probably
Universe
get one on.
parts.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say you can get a used one on eBay too, maybe a little bit cheaper or something. But
one of my other pickups came in from Amazon this week, and that is the PlayStation line of figures from. These are from Spin Master, which I have never bought any of Spin Master's action figures before, but it's got a little slip cover that you can slide off, and it's a little book.
It looks pretty good.
Let's see here. The figure's just in there, and like
Aloy.
You can actually touch the figure. She's just kind of
take it easy. Take it easy. G-rated show here, buddy.
I know, but then all of her accessories and faces are over here. But she actually looks a lot better in person than I thought she was going to, just from some of the pictures I saw online. But I love this line. I love this idea of doing a line of figures based on PlayStation first party titles. Along in this line is Aloy. And then her friend, I forgot his name, but her counterpart that's in the game has a figure as well. I think I'm going to skip him. I don't really care. And then there's Kratos and Atreus, or Loki, if you've played the games and know what's up. And then also the main character from Ghost of Tsushima. So that's really cool. I've got Kratos, Atreus, and the Ghost of Tsushima figure on pre-order. So they'll all be coming in. I am going to try to get that review up for her maybe one day this week because she's fairly new. It's a new line, and I know people are really interested in her.
Yeah, so, I'm interested. I'd love to see how the figure, especially with new companies, I'm always curious about, the articulation, the quality, the plastic.
Yeah. And the prices are all over the place. I think like Atreus is like $29.99, but Aloy was $49.99 because she's considered a deluxe figure. She has lots of face plates, lots of hands, lots of weapons and accessories. So, yep, lots of stuff there. Yeah. What about you? What you got next?
Next is from our buddy Chris Garwich at D13. He makes the biblical adventures. This is his demon, the purple demon, and he's been making the shit out of these figures. He's ever since he's had the Align or announced it. He's been, and I think it's kind of cool. Like he's working on the tooling and the production of the entire line, but in the meantime, he's pumping out these demons, and people love them, and they're great, fun figures. And he changes the color up.
I have one. So yeah, it's nice.
It kind of keeps people, excited about the line, and it kind of gives you a preview about what the articulation of the plastic is going to be like.
So Wave 1 hasn't come out yet?
No.
Okay.
No, it was supposed to come out. I think it was supposed to come out at the end of this year, but I think it's been delayed a little bit.
Early 2025. Okay. Let's see some other big. So everything I have left is kind of big. We are going to be opening one of these figures today, so I will show off. I've started to get in some of the Acolyte figures from Star Wars Black Series. So I've got in Jedi Master Soul.
Nice.
Who I'll be opening today on our unboxing. I got May.
Does she come with a lightsaber?
No, she does not, because if she had, that would have been a spoiler. And then and also May's not the one who ends up with a lightsaber. Remember? It's Osha. And then Jackie, our girl Jackie, who you're going to be opening today, right?
What? Yeah.
You're going to be opening Jackie today?
I am.
All right, so I'm going to leave Soul out on my desktop.
Poor little Jackie.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
I know, right? You have anything else to share?
I do. I've got a couple more things.
Good deal.
The ISS had loose figures that I guess where the package was damaged in the shipping of them overseas. So they basically sold them loose in baggies, which are actual Target Ziploc baggies. So I've got here a Cavern Dwarf, $20, and then a Gold Knight, which I love these
Nice.
damn Gold Knights, man.
Yeah, you can't have enough of those. My buddy Randall's
Can't
about
have
to
enough.
kick me a couple of those. Dude,
Yeah.
you got that exclusive Ziploc packaging.
Yes, yeah, I got the fancy Ziploc special limited edition, and I collect these. Where's it at? These special gold helmets.
that
that
came with
are-
the Father Christmas
the
retail version, right?
Yes. So if anyone
Oof.
has these and doesn't care about them, I will buy them from you because I love these damn things. They look so good on the.
That's
the
a
Gold
nice
Knight.
helmet. You throw that on a Gold Knight. Yeah, that thing
Yeah.
is killer.
Yes. Chef's
Killer.
kiss.
That's the helmet that came on the Valiant Knight, right?
Yes, yeah, it's the Valiant Knight one.
I
it's
love
on
that
the
helmet.
Iron Knight. It's pretty common, but they just don't have the gold ones.
Right.
The gold ones were only with that Father Christmas, but it matches perfectly with the Gold Knight figure.
Yeah, for sure.
They do stuff like that just to get us to buy more.
Oh, I know, right? I have a couple more, but everything I have left is pretty big. So I am going to start off with this guy. I got one of these in. I got one of mine in. This is the Once a Man Cobra Commander figure from the San Diego Comic-Con.
I didn't know you got that in. Very good.
I got one. I was able to pre-order a couple. And I was able to get one of them in. I don't know why they're staggering the shipping. I know that this figure was hard to come by, but I had a problem this week with one of my orders on Hasbro Pulse. So I had to actually call Hasbro Pulse customer service. And
you had to ask for the manager.
So I had to ask for a manager. And so I called Hasbro customer service. I was talking to them about my order and why something shipped. Like basically, like why I had placed an order for 2 of these and a Darth Maul on one day, and then on the second day, I went and placed another order for just one of these, and my second day order shipped this one, but the other 2 and the Darth Maul had not shipped, and I was calling to ask them why one got shipped instead of the other, and was talking to them about this figure being sold out and if it was going to be offered again. And the lady said it would definitely be shown again. Hey, Trevor, how's it going? Good morning, sir. That it definitely would be offered again on September 15th. And I do believe that is the Hasbro PulseCon. So I think for anybody who's watching, we got a couple people watching. If you've missed out, then you'll be able to get another opportunity that will be a known date and time of when you'll be able to get the Cobra Commander.
And maybe they'll do like a less stacked, like a less deluxe basic retail, carded or
version down the line. It seems like they would if they've already got the sculpt.
Hasbro likes their money, so they're going to do whatever they can to keep that money coming in.
Hey, so since Trevor's with us real quick, I just wanted to say shout out, Trevor. We talked a little bit earlier about the Norseman from the Frazetta Girls, and I just wanted to say your photography with that figure is gorgeous.
Yes, absolutely.
Another stellar photo shoot. Specifically,
pre-ordered.
The shot that really got me was the shot of him sitting around the campfire, and the campfire's lit and burning, and then he's just like sitting there, like holding his sword, like looking at his blade. And I was just like, the sculpt on these figures is just absolutely beautiful, but he just gets them in such, Trevor, you get him in such natural poses. Like, you could just see like the gears turning in his head, like thinking about his sword. And I had a quick question. When you do something like that involves like a live element like fire, is that digital? Do you add the fire in post and like put a little light there for the light to come onto the figure, and then you just add digital fire in post, or do you actually light fire like on set and try to capture it? I know that's difficult to do, but I wouldn't put it past you. I'm sure you would.
Masterful.
Since we have you in the chat, figured I would ask.
Pick his brain for sure.
But while he's thinking about how he's going to respond to us, what you got?
This was basically a gift. There's a plastic flame, and I enhance it in the post. Oh, okay. Is that Brian Lynn's flame or a different one? I wonder. Brian Lynn makes these amazing torches that I think Trevor also used in the Tigra photography. Anyways, so I got this from Brett Stoddard. This is a D20 giant boar with
nice.
This thing is like, it's got to be like 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds. It's a solid, and like the bone, the mask thing comes off, and
that thing is cool. I want one of those so bad.
And there's chains. It's just an elaborate, and it's just so metal, dude. It's just badass. It's badass.
Oh, Romero, greetings,
up, Romero.
I wanted to show you guys, since I had brought it up, and I really wanted to show you guys exactly what I was talking about. Here's the photograph. Of the figure. I wish it would come in like, let's see if I can open it in a new tab.
And I love that he chose the unhelmeted one. You know what I mean? Because it's almost a little bit more accurate. Like if you're sitting by the fire, you're not going to have your battle helmet on. You're going to, you've got your fur over your shoulders, and you're just kind of, like that forethought on Trevor's part is well done, sir.
Beautiful stuff. Beautiful.
You know what this figure reminds me of? Warlord, the comic book from the 80s. There was a comic called Warlord, and he had kind of like the winged helmet and the shirtless,
Yeah. Good morning, Joshua. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning.
I'm glad the comments started rolling in. I was starting to think maybe we're not live.
They don't like us. They don't like us.
Are we recording? I got a couple of more. I'm going to end with some bangers. These are both from Mezco. Finally got in my King Conan from Mezco.
I need one of those. Very nice.
Ooh, this is a hefty package, dude.
I was checking secondary markets on that.
That's a hefty package.
That's what she said.
You have anything else?
I have this one thing real quick that my buddy Pete Johnson made for me, which I know is two names for wieners, Peter and Johnson. But he made this new to Mythics. Yes. Taking over the nation. Not really, but I just thought he just did it out of the kindness of his heart, and he gave it to me at IshCon. So thank you, Pete. I appreciate you, my man.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you can make some stamps out of that.
I didn't think about that.
Then the last thing I have here is the Dick Tracy and flat top 2-pack.
I'm so jealous, dude.
They did not do this the way that they did the Batman and Two-Face, which was, it was 2 boxes. Like you open this box up and there would be 2 boxes. Because I have a buddy of mine who already got this in. They open it up and it's 1 box with 2 clamshells.
Yeah.
So I think it'd probably be a little bit harder for people to sell flat top on the secondary market if they didn't want flat top. But also, Mezco needs to slow down with their Dick Tracy stuff, because this week they also put up the blank on the 14th, and that was a Mezco shop exclusive apparently, and I missed out on it. Like it went up and it was waitlisted instantly. I mean, it sold out. So I don't know. I think I'll probably try to get him. I was hoping he was going to hit Big Bad Toy Store, but my buddy was like, no, that's an exclusive to the shop, so Mezco shop. So I don't know. They've done this before. Like the Shadow went up on Big Bad Toy Store, and that was a Mezco exclusive. So maybe it'll happen. Let's see here. What Joshua say? He said he got his Studio 86 Brawn in Frenzy this week.
What is
nice?
That?
Yeah,
Studio 86 Brawn.
So those are the Transformers line from the 86 movie. Yeah, Joshua, I just showed this off as well. I got one in this week, And I also was telling everybody about how I had to call customer service at Hasbro, asking them about something that happened with one of my orders. And they said that there would be more Once a Man Cobra Commanders coming out on September 15th, I guess to coincide with Hasbro PulseCon. I don't know if that's indeed the date of Hasbro PulseCon, but that was the date that she gave me. So let me see.
That's nice that she told you that, though, at least. She could have been like, I don't know. Sorry, can't help you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Just trying to look and see if there is a PulseCon
Hey, Romero,
2024.
if you're still on, what do you collect, man? Mention in the comments what you collect.
Yeah, I don't know if I can. If I can't see it real quick. Like when the next PulseCon is. But yeah, that's it for pickups. So let's get into unboxings. Yeah. So this is going to be a Star Wars day. Now that we've gotten all of the other stuff out of the way, and we're going to be opening some Star Wars Black Series figures, specifically from the Acolyte, and then our double down is we're going to be talking about the Acolyte. So that's kind of like how the rest of the show is going to go. I'm going to be opening up Jedi Master Soul, who was definitely my favorite character from the TV series The Acolyte, and he's number 2 in the line. And I'm not sure who number 1 is. I think it may be Osha. But and then who are you opening up?
I have Lil Jackie and I have Inara. So if you're gonna open one, I'll open one. Are you gonna open 1 or 2?
Is I'm gonna open 1. Is Inara number 1?
Inara is, where's the numbers at? Oh no, she's number 5.
Oh, number 5. Okay, so I would imagine that
Maybe
Osha is probably number 1.
Yeah, I could see that.
Soul is
I can
number
open the
2.
figure that you're not gonna open. Or you didn't
Jackie
get Inara,
is
did
3.
you? You didn't get Inara?
I haven't received Inara yet. That must mean Yord is 4, and then Inara is 5, and then May is 6. So I think that's the break.
I gotta say, these head sculpts are really fantastic.
Yeah, she looks great. I'm really happy with Soul's head. I think maybe his cheekbones are a little too pronounced, but other than that, I'm really happy with his head sculpt. They're not going to have individual character write-ups on the back. It basically is just a basic write-up of the show, which says, at the end of the High Republic era, a former Padawan reunites with her Jedi Master to investigate a series of crimes, but the forces that they confront turn out to be far more sinister and personal than anticipated. And I'm pretty sure that's written on the back of all of these. Yeah, it's the same little write-up. That's how they do things now. They don't want to give you too much information in case the packaging leaks before the show airs.
Yeah, Josh,
Right.
I don't collect a lot of Black Series anymore. I kind of just have moved on. But I really enjoyed this show. We'll talk about it. But after the show, I went to GameStop when me and my fiance went to the movies, and they had these there. And just on the strength of the show, I'm like, I got to pick these up. So
well, also I know that you're a huge Carrie Ann Moss fan, right?
I mean, yeah, ever since The Matrix, she was, and on a motorcycle. If they made like a Trinity with a motorcycle, Schmerber would be there.
That seems like something that Hot Toys would murder.
Don't say that. I can't afford that. Too much money.
Too much money. We're going to start off with Jedi Master Soul and just taking a look at his face here, if I can get this to focus. And
very serious.
Sculpt. And then look at the hair in the back.
Very grim. I almost wish they would have given him 2 head sculpts. Because I feel like, well, I mean, did he have 2 different hairstyles in the?
Yeah, in the flashbacks, he had very short hair.
Yeah.
I'm going to take his robe off. I'm really glad that they're including robes with all soft good robes with all of the figures. I know the hoods do not go up on their heads the way that they should, but that's okay. I would rather them include them than not include them, and I have to go and spend $30 on a custom cloak off of, some other site. But just taking a closer look at his belt, he has lots of little like things like pouches and tubes and stuff. And but yeah, PG-13. We're disrobing. Yeah, we made a comment earlier about this being a PG show.
Yeah. A little
And then
today.
let's see some more stuff on that side. He's got the gold gauntlets are nice. I will have to say that I thought that a lot of times we saw these Jedi in this show wearing gloves, and that really kind of threw me off. Like,
yeah,
I guess I'm just not a gloved Jedi fan.
I think they had their production designer or their costume designer kind of went in a certain direction that was a little unusual, but I don't mind it. It is different. Like Inara, she comes with one regular hand, and then her other hand has like a, oh wait, that's the regular hand, and then this one comes with
this is
half glove, like she was a break dancer or something.
This irritates me so much. It's one of my major gripes.
What is it?
With Black Series figures is every single Black Series figure they make, they give the character at least one trigger finger hand.
Yeah.
Not every person in Star Wars fires a gun. I don't understand, specifically with Jedi.
She's got a trigger finger too.
Every single one, dude. Every one. Like,
but maybe it's
I don't need that.
The Force finger. They're using the Force Palpatine finger, maybe.
Yeah, I don't. To me, I would much rather have, if it's a Jedi, right? Like a force wielding hand, just an open palm or maybe a relaxed palm. I don't need trigger finger hands on every single Star Wars figure.
Well, I think also the Black Series, they need to get with the program of like G.I. Joe Classified and give me more hands. No, there's only one.
I tell you, man,
that's on them.
The Star Wars tax, the Disney tax that they have to pay must be astronomical.
I've noticed too that there's a lot of yellows in the costumes in the show too.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's something that's very specific to the High Republic era that the show was taking place in. And there was a lot of golds and whites. Especially like if you go back and look at the covers of the books that have come out that are all during the High Republic era. That's the color of the robes. And it was almost like when they're in the temple, their robes are like white and gold, but when they're out in the field, then they put on like their browns and their earth tones.
Yeah. And
she looks great.
Yes, I'll give Hasbro good props on this, because her body, and I'm not trying to be all creepy or anything, but she has like a womanly body. It's not like, I don't think there's another figure that would probably have this sculpt, but she's got kind of wider, older woman hips.
I see that. Yeah.
And I respect that. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be a weirdo, but I think it's cool that they sculpted a figure that was, that was proportionate to the actress. They kind of
right. Because they could have just given her another body. Like, just, we're going to reuse another Jedi female body.
Yes. So I think that's respect to females, and that they, gave her an accurate sculpt on her, for her body.
Yeah. The other thing I want to shout out a little bit to the Star Wars team is they're getting a lot better at getting the toys out while that particular entertainment is still a relevant thing. Now, I know that that's not always the case, and I know that They've announced the second wave of these, which will not be out until the fall. And then sometimes some of them are not even coming out until 2025. And on top of that, they still have yet to even announce either a Black Series or a TVC version of The Stranger, who is a major character in this
That
show.
is strange.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I would think he would be one of the first.
Well, when they announced the second wave, I thought, oh, okay, here we go. Like, we're actually going to get, The Stranger. When they were going to announce, Vanestra Rowe and some of those other characters, I thought, oh, well, they'll definitely have The Stranger in that second wave, and he's not. And we probably are not going to see a pipeline announcement for him for quite some time. And that's, Joshua says it's good to have multiple body types and not just the one male and one female body. Absolutely, for sure. I mean, we're already getting so little. Like, if you saw, the only thing that we're getting with him is this lightsaber and soft good cloak.
Yeah, that's all she came with too.
That's it.
And
this cost me more because this guy was probably like $26.99, $27.99. This is like $2 and $3 more than what we're paying for G.I. Joe Classified, and they come with tons of stuff. And I understand why. Hasbro owns the master license for G.I. Joe. There's no licensing fees. Marvel Legends and Black Series, they have to pay the Disney tax. They have to pay the licensing fees for these things. So I understand why that's the case. But, if I had one other complaint is that I do like this head sculpt. I think this looks a lot like...
it looks like him.
It looks like the actor. It looks like Jedi Master Soul. But here's the problem. One of the things about Master Soul was that he was very warm and caring. And I think I would have preferred a more warm and caring face. This is very stoic. Yeah, this is very stoic, very kind of like...
Yeah, this Soul looks like he's been in the Walmart returns line for an hour during the holiday season.
He's been at the Coruscant DMV for 3 hours.
And the person in front of him's like, "Can I write a check?"
Yeah, this guy he's had enough. He's not here for it.
He's fed up.
Yeah, but I do love this head sculpt. It does look nice. I just wish... Exactly. It's his resting scowl.
Right.
Face. Can you show us the Norris face? Can you kind of like hold her up a little bit? I'd like to see her head because I don't have her.
She's got kind of like, I'm not going to say dead eyes, but like in the show, she was, kind of troubled and stressed out and stuff. And I think they really captured kind of like,
oh, nice.
Her likeness in the show. I think my camera sucks, but
no, dude, I can see it. It
looks a lot better in person.
I have her on pre-order. I have the whole wave. It's just
you will like this figure. I think it's really well done. Like I said, I'm really happy that they were accurate with her body likeness, and her head sculpt is really good. There's also, I don't remember the character. She had little dots or tattoos or something on her eye. Yes,
she did over on this one side only.
Yes, yeah. and this figure has that. It's got the little
nice
dots.
Perfect.
But yes, she's got the tired eyes for sure, and it really comes through. She's kind of like weary, like she looks like she's the one at the DMV that is helping you.
Right?
Like next,
right?
Ready to take my lunch, so.
Next. And we're talking about not having a Stranger being announced in the next wave of figures, and also what I'm afraid of is when they do announce him, that they're only going to announce him in his Stranger form, like with the helmet on look, his Sith Lord look, which we still don't have a name for. I'm afraid that we're not going to get, like, I want either a deluxe version of him or 2 figures. I want with his poncho and his arms covered and his head out, and then I want the Stranger with his soft goods, helmet, bare arms. But I would pay the deluxe price if they offered like 2 distinct looks for that character in one package, and they're like, we're going to charge, I don't know, $34.99.
Yeah.
Knowing them, they'll probably do $39.99. But you know, they're probably going to milk it and do 2 releases, and it probably won't be until next year before we even get that figure. I mean, it hasn't even been announced yet. So, yeah, I do have the whole first wave on pre-order. I've only received 3. I still have 3 left. I have Yord and Osha and Nara waiting for them to come up. Yep, you've got Jackie. I got Jackie. She's dope. I like her a lot. She looks
She
really
was
good.
so good.
She's having a good. That actress is having a good
Daphne
year.
Yeah.
Daphne Keene's having a good year with that and Deadpool and Wolverine, and you know, she was on an HBO show called His Dark Materials, which was really good. She was great on that show.
I've heard that though.
Yeah, it's based on those the old books like Golden Compass. I think it's what it was.
Mhm.
There was already a movie made once, but this is like a TV series, and it's really good. My wife and I watched it. So, all right. So that's our unboxing. Let's get into our double down. All right. So today our double down is we're going to tie in to the Star Wars Black Series. This is not necessarily a toy discussion. This is more of a movie and TV show discussion. We're going to talk about The Acolyte. It's something that Greg and I have wanted to talk about for a while now, and we just haven't had the time to do it because we've had a lot of toy related stuff to talk about during our double down. But yeah, we want to take some time to talk about The Acolyte, which may, I don't know, alienate the 4 of you that are watching today. Used to have a very strong opinion about The Acolyte, one way or the other. I'll start off by saying that I'm probably very biased when it comes to Star Wars because it is my favorite property. It's my favorite license. Oh, all of a sudden, look at this. He shows up.
Randall.
Glad you're here, buddy. Glad you're here.
You're 52 minutes late, sir.
But I know he's going to be able to add in some comments here because I actually really liked The Acolyte, but I love Star Wars, so I'm pretty much going to like anything that they put out. I am a Star Wars apologist. So, hey, Joshua, before we get into this, you haven't seen it. We're probably going to spoil the mess out of the show. So if you want to go in spoiler free, you may want to come back and catch the recap on this. But you know, if you want to go back and watch the replay, but we're probably going to spoil it because we're going to be talking about everything that happens in the show and what we liked and what we didn't like. Randall says, I don't like all the new Star Wars, but I did like The Acolyte. Yeah, because Randall and I have talked about it. We've had a pretty lengthy conversation about it all the way up to the Charlie's toy show thing in Augusta, or not Augusta, Stone Mountain. He's like, I'm not going to watch it, so go all in on spoilers.
Hey, after this discussion, maybe you will, Josh. Maybe you will check it out.
Good morning, J-Mac. So yeah, so we're gonna be doubling down on The Acolyte. My overall feelings is that I really, really liked this show. I really liked it. I loved all the decisions they made, pretty much, and I was all in. What about you?
I'm always open-minded. I'm like you. Like, I'm Star Wars. Anything made by Lucas, I'm interested in. But I'm open-minded to anything Star Wars that comes out. I will watch it all. That being said, it's had a recent track record for me that's been kind of not quite what I would like it to be. But I'm one of those that is optimistic. I will pick out the good things that I like and ignore or move on with the things that I don't. It's not going to ruin my day. Acolyte, just in a nutshell, it started a bit slow for me, but it ramped up and it really got me interested in the characters, especially Soul. That guy.
Oh yeah.
The vulnerability that he had and his story arc throughout, which to me, like they I think they portrayed Jedi as kind of like these stoic, almost grim, knights that are follow all the rules other than Qui-Gon, and always do right, and and Soul, not to get too much into it, made a mistake and is carrying that around, that weight. And I think that is a very mature story for Star Wars. Even though it's
Right.
kind of like a kid's thing where, the kid always is in trouble, and, they stow away or something. And, it's got that usual Disney stuff, but deep down with Soul's story, it's kind of like, the guilt that this man has, and he's trying to fix things and make things right, but can't, and doesn't really want to rock the boat too much. But the boat ends up totally capsizing. But
Right. So I think maybe for Joshua, what we'll do is we'll probably start off with an initial, like, placing where the show is in the Star Wars timeline. This actually takes place 100 years, roughly 100 years before the Phantom Menace. This is towards the end of the High Republic era that is just now being explored in the Disney novels. So any of the Disney High Republic stuff that you've seen, the novels that have come out over the last like 3 years or so, the novels are like focusing on this particular period of time. So this takes place 100 years before the Phantom Menace. We're at the end of the High Republic. The Jedi are in the millions. They are just now starting to be questioned by the Senate as to like what their true intentions are. The Senate, some of the people in the Senate sort of look at the Jedi as maybe like a cult. The Senate is wanting to start sort of like placing checks and balances on the Jedi. They're keeping an eye on the Jedi. They're like, these guys are kind of like these moral police that are going around and intervening, but nobody has given them the authority to do so. They're sort of acting autonomously, almost like a militia maybe, or like an armed force, going around the universe doing stuff. And
it's an interesting perspective. It's a change
right.
in their point of view.
Right. And I remember Leslie Headland talking, the show creator, the one who created this idea and this storyline and pitched it to Lucasfilm. And basically she was like, I want to take a look at the Jedi in the perspective of, and this is kind of sort of like a modern day take. So we look at the police in our time as, the officers of, peace and justice. Like, these are the people that are supposed to come into your neighborhood and offer to serve and protect. But if you were to have like an all white police force go into an all black community, the police are not going to be looked at as the protectors of peace and justice. They're kind of going to be looked at as interlopers, that they're going to be looked at as outsiders and not the good guys. They're kind of going to be looked at as the bad guys. And she was like, how can we look at the Jedi through that lens? And what does that look like? And so basically what you have is you have this opening event, which is in the High Republic novels that started about 3 years ago with Disney's publishing. The very first novel starts out with this massive tragedy, this massive space tragedy where a massive starship is ripped out of hyperspace in the middle of its, hyperspace jump. It's ripped out of hyperspace, which rips the ship apart, tears it apart, and it crash lands on this planet. And that kicks off this series of events that the Jedi have to go and investigate. And this is a time when the Sith are not around. There are no Sith lords. There haven't been Sith for, thousands and thousands of years. And so the Sith are not the main villain in the novels. The first set of villains is called the Nile. They're kind of like these space pirates. And so the Jedi in this show are actually, I guess what happened was the ship that was pulled out of hyperspace and crash landed on this planet. It crash landed on a planet that used to be completely dead and desolate, and it was like a rock and it was uninhabited. And now, after hundreds of years, now all of a sudden this planet is now blossoming with life, teeming with life and creatures and all kinds of inhabitants. And I think the planet's called Brindok, and the Jedi, a small Jedi team, are sent to Brindok to investigate why all of a sudden this planet now has life. And so they're basically there to investigate what they believe is a vergence in the Force, which is where all of a sudden the Force picks a place and a time and a location and says, we're going to create something special here. And it's kind of like the wheel of the Force. And so the Jedi are there looking for this vergence, and they think it may be, this, why there's life on this planet. And so the Jedi that are there are, I believe it's Sol and Inara and Jedi Master Torben, and then Kelnaka, who is the Jedi Wookiee. And they are all there, and they are exploring Brindok and trying to figure out why there's life on this planet. And Jedi Master Sol comes in contact with two little girls. And he's like, there's not supposed to be inhabitants on this planet. Why are there people here? This isn't supposed to be an uninhabited planet. And then he follows them back to their temple. And at the temple, we see that there is this coven of witches, this society of women who are raising these two little girls. And that's what kicks off this whole adventure on the Acolyte. And then what we see is that this assassin, May, who is this character here, so May, the assassin, she shows up, and I guess maybe 15 years later from the events of like what I just discussed, May comes and she wants to kill all four of the Jedi that were there that night. So she has Master Sol, Anara, who you just looked at, Master Torben, and Kelnaka. Am I missing somebody? Was there somebody else? Was there another Jedi there, or is it just those?
No, I think that was it.
And she wants to assassinate all four of them for something that happened. And then you realize she's one of the two girls that Sol saw, and she has grown up. And so there are twins. So there's May and there's Osha. So you have these two twin sisters, one who wants to be a Jedi, one who wants to be an assassin. And so they're kind of at odds with each other as to how they want to go about reconciling their past. And so that's the kind of the basis of the show. And let's just get to some of the comments real quick before we go in there. I have thoughts on Star Wars is hesitant to go deeper with their characters and allow them to be flawed and vulnerable. However, Star Wars has to grow beyond what they have already done. Absolutely. He also goes on to say the show did a poor job explaining why they were on Brindok in the beginning. Yeah, they did. You kind of had to, if you had read the novels, then you kind of got a little glimpse. But yeah, they did a really poor job. I think I agree with why they were there. But I think they were trying to be purposefully vague because, they didn't want to reveal whether or not the vergence on this planet was the life on the planet that it started to grow for no reason, or was it these two twins that may or may not have been brought into the world through nefarious ways of the witches. So, it was 8 episodes. The first one was Lost and Found. A lot of the titles of the shows had dual titles. We had a couple. One was called Lost and Found. Episode 2 was called Revenge and Justice. And I think that showed, kind of like the duality of the.
A lot of duality on the show. Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah. So where do you want to dive in? Where do you want to jump in? You want to jump in the past, or you want to jump in the present day of the show?
I'll let you pick.
So
I'm,
the way
I'm with
the
you.
way the show starts off is it starts off modern day, like our current timeline. Okay. And so oh, Randall wants us to go with our overall rating. I guess if we were to give it, I don't know, what do you want to do? 1 to 10, or you want to give it a a
Do one
rating
through
out of
10. 1 through 10
1 through
is
10? All right.
now.
What's
What's a
it for you?
10 though? What's a 10?
Oh man, like 10 is the most perfect Star Wars thing you've ever seen in your life.
Okay.
All right. So I
Um,
would guess for me, like I would say this is probably like a strong like 10 is max Rebo level. Yeah. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being probably the best Star Wars I've ever seen. I would say that this is probably like a strong 7 for me.
um, I'm not sure what a 1 would be. I'm curious what Randall thinks a
Ooh.
1 is. I
Mm.
think with the Acolyte.
Could we say 1 is the Star Wars Christmas special?
Oh, wow. Um, I I would say it's the show started for me at a 3. I was not really interested how it started. I thought it was cool how this Jedi came and was able to kill a Master Jedi, or not a Jedi, whatever she was. She was
She
like
was a master. Yeah.
a rogue Force wielder. Was able to kill a Master Jedi. I was kind of like, I don't know about that. I'm not sure about that. And honestly, I'm still not sure about that. Um, but I think we'll talk about that later. But I would say it started low for me and it ended high. So I would say
Mm-hmm.
probably a 6. Like, yeah, I would say Randall's right, about a 6.75, maybe a
Right.
7. 7 based on the end and where the arc of the characters, not really rating by the episode, but rating by the feeling that I had when it was over. I would say
I
6.5,
completely agree with
7.
that. I would even go so far as to say, like, maybe, you know, like for me, maybe the show started at a 5, but it definitely ended on a 7. And I
Yeah.
also think that that was kind of the consensus of the majority of the Star Wars fandom, because I was reading the comments, I was paying attention to message boards and Facebook groups and YouTube comments and stuff. And it seemed like the Acolyte, like from minute one, people were hating on it. And I'm going to be honest, and I'll probably piss some people off, but um I recognize the toxicity in Star Wars fandom. There is a very vocal community in Star Wars. There's a very vocal group inside the Star Wars fans that are very misogynistic and very racist. And I'm going to go ahead and just put that out there. And I'll
I
say
agree. I totally agree.
there are fans that do not want people of color in Star Wars, and there are fans that don't want women in Star Wars, whether it's women characters or female writers or female directors or
Right.
female showrunners. And this had all of that. It was a female led show, female showrunner, female writers. They had male writers, they had male
Yeah.
directors, but
I love that though, because I think that Star Wars is so big and there's room for everyone and every type. It should be all welcoming. And what I do like about this was that it gave Obi-Wan that they gave perspectives, or they changed it a little bit. Like you were saying with the Jedi, they were kind of like, with suspicion or whatever. And
Mhm.
like with the Sith, they gave a different perspective. Like he wasn't like the like the
Right.
traditional evil. He was like giving like to Osha, like, it's being free. He was like giving, and I don't know if he's being, deceiving to her. Like, we've traditionally known the Sith as like kill your master, be the worst possible person, kill young Jedi Padawans or young Jedi kids. But like this guy was different, and I appreciated that change in perspective. Like it kind of
Right.
harkens back to Thanos being like having the most, like his conviction was so strong. he didn't care if he ended up becoming a villain in people's eyes. He believed in what he was doing. And
Yeah.
this conviction of this character, the master, like I appreciated that, man. He just seemed you're killing me, Randall. You're killing me. But I love that change in perspective. Like a lot of times the villains get shortchanged when it comes to the story or their motivations or their, why are you doing this? Because I'm bad. No, it's like they have a reason for what they're doing or why they're doing what they're doing. And I think that they focused on that in this show, and I appreciated that.
They
I
took
do
one
have
of the main tenets of Star Wars, which is always this idea of a certain point of view,
Mhm.
and they leaned into that. And
Yeah.
everything in this show is from a certain point of view. How you perceive the Jedi, are they good or are they bad? That's a certain point of view. Like everybody was also complaining that this coven of witches talked about the Force and called it the thread. But is that not just the Force, like in a certain from a certain point of view? Like it's just their point of view of what the Force is this thread
They
that
call it something
ties
different.
this that ties this all together instead of binding us all together. What does it matter what they call it? And the Sith, like what are his motivations? Are they pure evil, or is that just a certain point of view? The way that the stranger, who is the Sith character in this show, played by Mandy Jacinto, the way he looks at the Jedi as being evil, that's from a certain point of view, because you get this idea that he, they kind of explain a little bit of his backstory about how he was a Padawan, he had a Jedi master, and not only did his Jedi master like apparently abuse him, and calls him physical harm, his Jedi Master also like threw him away, kicked him out, tossed him to the side, and left him for dead, or left him out of the order at least.
So a
And
lot of
so,
mature themes.
from his point of view, like he has a different look. He has a different outlook on what the Jedi are. So yeah, I think there's a lot of deep themes there. There's a lot of I was saying earlier that I think for a lot of Star Wars fans, it started off really low, but I think it ended on a high note. And I every week I would see people complaining about little things like, why in the world did they place Coyote Mundi in there to say that, send them on this mission? Well, they're like, isn't he the one in the Phantom Menace that say that the Sith have not been around for a millennia? Like the fact that they chose to put him in those opening episodes and send them on the mission, that was purposeful. Like the reason that they chose him, they could have chosen any Jedi. There's so many. They could have made up one, to send them on this mission, but they chose him specifically because he does say that in the Phantom Menace that they haven't been around. And then they showed why he inevitably ends up saying that is because the information about the Jedi Master or the Sith Lord never gets back to him.
I think also this is something that I have an issue with is the 8-episode format. No, I agree, but that's all right. We're talking about it. We've been wanting to. Screw it. Let's do it. Let's keep it going.
Yeah.
I think that people are watching this show episodically, and so they're getting. It's almost like you make this amazing turkey dinner, but you only get one bite a week. And
Right.
instead of enjoying the whole meal, which is what I do because I'm a patient man, I will wait until the series is over. I'll try to ignore all spoilers and watch it from beginning to end, in a day or whatever. I'll absorb it as a whole instead of the episodic, because you're getting, people are breaking down, oh, that was a good fight scene and then it got boring, or not much happened in this episode. It's like, yes, but they're trying to tell a story. They're trying to weave in and make you care about these characters and stuff. So I think the episodic like it's nice that we're getting 8 hours of this story or 8 hours of Obi-Wan. I would like more. But I think it's different if you digest it all together as opposed to in chunks. That's just
Right.
I
think you're absolutely correct. If this had been like, let's say that this was, I love the turkey dinner analogy, but let's say that this was a 2-hour movie that we went to the movie theater to see. Okay, like it would have started out slow. It would have started getting a little more interesting as plot is unfolding in the middle,
right.
and then it ends in this epic fight scene, this crazy battle, and a massive teaser for the next thing at the end of the movie. And then you would have walked out of that theater on this high, this
Right.
high note. You know, oh, that last battle was amazing. It started slow, it got a little more interesting, it ended on this massive battle that was awesome. And then, oh, that tease for what's coming next.
Right.
I think if this had been a 2-hour movie, we would have come out of this loving it. But you know, we live in an age, good morning, Terrence, where the knee-jerk reaction to rage against something is instant. Like we have this instant platform now to where when we don't like something, we immediately run to the internet and tell everybody about how much we don't like it.
Oh my God. That's
you know,
so accurate.
And so
gratification like, too. People need that instant gratification of watching, you know, watching each and then judging each by itself instead of as a whole. You're judging each episode, and people are crapping on, you know, it's like you're crapping on just this episode, but you're not. You look at the whole picture, not just, you know, they have to have some exposition. They have to tell, you know, why this character is this way or what happened here. So not everything is going to be action packed. Not everything is going to be, you know, they're laying the fibers to create a tapestry. You know what I mean?
Let's see.
We'll talk about that for sure.
Yeah. Terrence says, I want to ask a question, but I don't know if you want to answer it publicly. Can you talk about how Double Jointed got on the Legions Con schedule? I think it's great. I'm super impressed. Okay, so yeah, we can take a little moment to stop Acolyte and jump on that real quick. So basically, what happened, Terrence, was I initially reached out to Jeremy Gerard via email. I think I had got his business card at like Toylanta back in like February or March. I can't remember what month that was. Randall, if you're still in the chat, maybe you can tell me. I think it was March when we went. And what I wanted to do, like what my goal is, my personal goal for Saturday Morning Toy Collector is, if you guys remember, sometime last year, whenever the end of February. Yeah, thank you. If you guys remember when the Four Horsemen announced the Reinforcements 2 line, if you guys remember, the way they did that was they sent out one figure to, like, however many figures there were, like 7. They sent out one figure to each individual, like to different YouTubers, like Toy Bro, Dork Lair, and then a few others. Some that had only like some channel. I remember one channel got a figure reveal that only had like 500 subs. And so the way that they allowed them to unveil it was you would tune in on Monday and they would say, who was Dork Lair's reveal? And then on Tuesday you would tune in, who was Toy Bro's reveal? And they had worked it out to where they would send out these figures, that YouTuber would reveal that figure and review it. And that's how they did each one. Randall says, no, it was the end of March. So my goal is I want to get in on that list. I would love if I could in the future, when they do something like this again. I know that like Dork Lair gets all of the figure obscura reveals and he gets to do that. And that's how they unveil that figure, is you tune in on that day and you watch Dork Lair open it up and show you what it is. And then and then the sale goes up after that. And so I want to do a reveal for something like that, for the Four Horsemen, for Mythics. And so what I started doing was to like sort of get on their radar. Was I decided in 2024 every single Monday I was going to do a Mythic Monday. So I was going to do a review of a Mythic or a Cosmic every single Monday throughout the entire year of 2024 to show the company that I'm dedicated, I'm like supportive of the line, and I'm here trying to, do my part. And so we went to Toylanta. I saw Jeremy and I was like, hey, Jeremy, I would love to do a reveal like you guys did with the reinforcements too. I would love to do something like that. That would be amazing. Can we set something up like that for the future? If you guys have something like that ever happening again, I'd love to be a part of it. And so, he's like, I want to be the reviewer for any future Swig version 2 releases. You got it. Yeah, for sure. And so Jeremy gave me his business card and said, here, email me directly and we'll see what we could do for setting that up. So I had Jeremy's email. And so when I was thinking about, I'm going to go back to Legion's Con this year. Oh, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. That I was like, I'm going to reach out to Jeremy and see if I can have a slot to record a live episode of Saturday Morning Toy Collector. And so I reached out to him and he was very receptive. He was like, yeah, he says, for sure, we can totally make that happen. Do you want to do it on Friday? Do you want to do it on Saturday? We're trying to figure out the schedule right now. And he was like, there's going to be a couple of other podcasts that are recording. We already have a room set aside for that. And so we just need to know, like, we can fit you into one of the time slots. And so, while this was going on and I was talking with Jeremy about it, Greg and I decided to start this show. I had been wanting to do a live show for quite a while. And then when Greg and I started talking about doing a show, he was the perfect partner because he's always available. He loves toys as much as I am. He is, I would say, equally as handsome as I am. So we're not competing for, who is handsomer or wittier. He was just a perfect match. And so when we decided to do the show together, we started doing our live Saturday shows. I then reached out to Jeremy and I said, hey, since it hasn't been officially announced yet, would you possibly change the time slot instead of Saturday Morning Toy Collector to double jointed? And he was like, absolutely. And I said, well, let me send you the logo. I'll send you a little write-up for the show. And whenever you post it to the Legion's Con website, just let me know. And that's how we did it. I literally just reached out to him. And I think you have his contact information. I'm pretty sure like you've been in contact with him about the Swig stuff and everything. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, man. And so, yeah, that's just how it came about. It was just, I just asked and he was like, yeah, we can make it happen for sure. And so that was probably a lot more information that you wanted to know, but that's how I answer questions. Sorry. As you found out at dinner, I talk a lot. Oh yeah, absolutely. More people need to see us on Saturday mornings with a big bowl of cereal.
Absolutely. Thank you, Terrence. Thank you for all the kind words. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. 100%. Yes, Jeremy. Okay, great. So yeah, so you guys will, yeah, absolutely. He can talk. Dude, I've gone on a road trip with a friend of mine. We drove to Indianapolis from where we live. That's a 12-hour drive, and we talked all the way there. I didn't take a single nap. We talked the entire time. Like, I literally have talked for 12 hours straight before. So it can happen. I will do it. Anyway, back to Acolyte. Yeah, we were talking about how had this been a 2-hour movie, it would have ended on a high note. I do think the movie ended on a very high note. Oh, one thing I wanted to bring up. We were talking about a certain point of view. One of the tent poles of this series is they did something that was based on an old Kurosawa film called Ran. So, and he's like, and I can listen for 5 hours straight. So
absolutely.
That works out. So if you guys have ever seen Ran or Ron, however you want to pronounce it, it's RAN. That movie was an old Kurosawa film based on crotch shot, based on we almost saw the Smurber. It was based on an old Kurosawa film, that basically tells the story of an event that happens, and then throughout the movie you see it from different points of view. You see it happen from this Yeah, any Kurosawa film is great. You're absolutely correct. And Kurosawa is a huge influence on George Lucas when he wrote Star Wars. He based it on this Kurosawa film called the Hidden Fortress, which if you have never seen, it's really awesome. It's told from the point of view of these two like comedic like little peasants that are basically R2D2 and C3PO, and that's why Star Wars is told from their point of view. They're the first characters we meet. They deliver the first line of dialogue that we ever hear in Star Wars, and so they took it back to that. So that certain point of view is like a core tenet of the storytelling narrative of The Acolyte is you see the events happen from one perspective, and then a few episodes later, you see the same flashback again, but from a different perspective. And you see how the events are perceived and unfold from different points of view and how they mean different things to different people. And I thought that was pretty brilliant on their part. The way that the storytelling unfolded, the way the narrative unfolded. And I really like how at the beginning of the show, all the comments were negative. Like you would see a lot of negative comments. People were like, this show is trash. It's garbage. You need to kick Leslie Headland off the show. It's garbage. It's slow. Well, that episode was all right. Whoa, that was really cool, man. That final battle is incredible. All the way to the show ends. They give us teases of things that we didn't think we would ever see in Star Wars. And then all of a sudden we've got hashtag renew Acolyte season 2 trending all over the place and people clamoring for a second season. And, so I think that that's a great, I love it when you have one perspective going into something, but when you come out of it, your perspective has changed. That's the tenet of somebody with an open mind and willing to learn and change, adapt. And yes, the last episode, man, there is this lightsaber battle that I swear to you rivals anything you have ever seen in Star Wars lightsaber battles. If you like Kung Fu and have always wanted to see Kung Fu and lightsaber work happen at the same time, just watch the last episode.
Yeah.
There are some things in that final episode that we have only seen happen in comic books and novels, and specifically the bleeding of a kyber crystal. If you're not familiar with this process, it is the point in which the kyber crystal is so in tune with the heart and the soul and the will of the user that when the heart and soul and the will of that user has become corrupt, that it actually reaches out through the force and it affects the kyber crystal. It drains the color from the kyber crystal, turning it bright red. We see this happen with one of the characters where they grab a lightsaber. You see it trembling in their hand. You see this wave of energy move through their hand down into the blade or the hilt of the saber. You see the crystal inside of it change color, and then the blade ignite and change from blue to red. And the bleeding of a crystal is something that I've seen it happen in a video game in the last like Star Wars Survivor video game. It happened. I've seen it in comics, but to see that in live action is insanity. And then the show ends on a super high note in that we see the Sith Lord and his new acolyte, his new apprentice on a planet. And then from the shadows, we see Darth Plagueis emerge, watching over, sort of like, oh no, now my apprentice wants to kill me, and he has himself taken an apprentice. And so we see Darth Plagueis for the very first time, who had only been mentioned who was canon because he was mentioned in Revenge of the Sith, but was also the focus of his own book right before. I mean, it came out, I think, maybe the year before Disney bought Lucasfilm. There's a book called Darth Plagueis, and it talks about Darth Tenebris and Darth Plagueis, and how the two of them were trying to, rule the galaxy or from the shadows and manipulate what was going on in the world. But in that book, some of that stuff has now become canon because in that book, Darth Tenebris and Plagueis, they visited a water world, and they visited this island that was only described in the book as being rocky and patches of green grass. But it was a water planet, and the planet was called Baldimnik. And the reason that they visited there was because Darth Tenebris had found that on the islands, the rocky outcroppings produced this vein of a mineral called cortosis, which is this mineral that can deflect lightsaber blades and block force abilities. And so, oh yeah, J-Max says, when Star Wars leans into Kurosawa's influence, it's a wonderful thing. Absolutely.
Yes.
And I think that when we first see this island in The Acolyte, the reason that they don't identify it as Bald Dimnik is I think that would have shown their hand. I think it would have tipped their hand into, oh, we're going to Darth Plagueis, we're going to Cortosis mining. Like, I think it would, because when they show us that island for the first time, it just says unknown planet. They don't explain what it is, but clearly it is Bald Dimnik, and so that's really cool that they're bringing these things, which they do. Disney uncanons all of this stuff and says this is not canon, and then till they want to go back and reach into it and go, oh yeah, it is canon. Like Thrawn was not canon, then they bring Thrawn into Clone Wars, and then we knew Darth Plagueis was canon because of how he's mentioned in Revenge of the Sith, but was the book canon? Well, it wasn't, and now parts of it are. So, I think Disney has this wealth of, it can be very frustrating for people who have invested in all of that stuff since the 80s when it was all coming out. So, absolutely. But to me, the series ended on a high note. I loved it. I love the reveals. I love the setup for season 2, and I hope we do get a second season. Personally, I would like to see where this goes in the future. I
think it was really well made. The just the writing, the originality, the different points of view. I welcome this change, or this, just them doing something different and not sticking to all the usual tropes and stuff like that. I appreciated that. I'm glad that they didn't feel like they needed to kill the bad guy at the end and tie everything in, and they kind of left it so that we want to see more of this relationship between the Sith master, right, and his trainee, or whatever you want to call her. But
yeah, the good thing is I did read somewhere on some Star Wars news site that that Disney Publishing or Lucasfilm Publishing, whoever runs the publishing of the novels, has said that we will see Jecki and Yord again in novels. So probably flashbacks on earlier missions. I think people really identified with them and want to see more. I thought it was a bold choice to take Vanestra Rowe, who is a literal hero. We see her rise from a Padawan to a Jedi Master in these High Republic novels and comics. And she is a really good person. And then we see her become an evil person. I
didn't really like her in that.
And we see her downfall and what she's trying to do from inside the Jedi Order. And so that was also another bold move. There was a lot of bold decisions. And I think anytime somebody comes in and tries to do something bold and new with Star Wars, I think it has an initial knee-jerk adverse reaction, like Last Jedi, like with what Rian Johnson did with Last Jedi. But I think over time, people will soften to it and go back to it and realize this was some pretty bold storytelling, and I like it. Is there some cheesy writing? Yes. Are there some cringe moments? Yes. It's a numbers game at this point. You have so many different facets to Star Wars that not everything is going to be perfect and catered directly to you. Star Wars to me is like, get in where you fit in. Find your entry point that speaks to you and get into it. Let's answer. We'll wrap it up on this last question. Did you like Osha and her sister? Greg, what's your thoughts on that?
I think that was a great question by Randall. I think when they were young and going back and forth, it seemed a little forced. It seemed a little awkward. I don't know if it was the acting. I don't know if it was the writing. I didn't really care for them overall. What's weird is I don't really like them together. I like them more. in their own element. You know, I liked Osha when she was dealing with um, um, the master, and I liked May when she was dealing with Soul. Like I liked those the dichotomy. I liked the different
Mhm.
back and forth, but them together, I did not really care for them together. Honestly, I
Yeah, I
just
think that's a very good point.
it just seemed
I
kind of a generic, cliched, good sister, bad sister thing. Like
mm,
I don't know. It just that part didn't work for me, and I get that the story is about dualities and different points of view, but I was probably more interested in Soul and his journey, and the Master. I think those two were probably my two favorite characters in this story.
yeah. I liked their duality. I liked the idea of there being a good sister and a bad sister, and then having those roles switched by the end of the show. I thought that was interesting, something I hadn't seen before in Star Wars. So I was okay with that, but I enjoyed them. I'm like you. I think I enjoyed the older actress. Uh, um, and the older actress in the show more so than the younger actresses who played the sisters.
Right. Yeah, that's
Personally,
kind of what I was getting at. Is
yeah,
I mean, they're child actors, and I'm not going to be harsh on them. I
yeah, they were
appreciated
fine.
I appreciated the characters in their own separate, in their own arcs and their own storylines. I appreciated the characters.
But she had to do Amandla, who played I forgot her last name, but who played the sisters. You know, she was one actress playing two roles, and so she did some heavy lifting. I thought having to like sort of carry both of those roles at the same time, and I thought she did a good job. But you're right, like when she's not interacting with herself, that can be a little awkward, especially when you know it's one person. But yeah, her individually with the other actors in the show, I think,
So I
yeah, it
guess
was
that
much more successful for sure.
they had to have the identical thing because I guess the Force created them, and so they were like basically they were split like the same DNA, but they were split apart, I guess. And
From what they said in the show, she was one consciousness split into two.
yeah,
So that's not even like cells being split into two and becoming twin sisters. It's like they are literally the same person.
yeah,
Um, which is probably why some of the characters couldn't tell them apart
yeah.
when it
So
seemed obvious to other people. It's
yeah, so
because
that
they
that
were.
aspect is interesting. I mean, that Anakin was kind of created the same way, I guess. I guess there's
Well,
a difference
I think
there, or
Leslie Headland went on to say that the sisters were not the virgins in the Force. That
oh, okay,
it was a particular spot on the planet, and so they were not conceived of the Force, because a lot of people were complaining about that, saying that they were now making Anakin not special. But no, he
oh, okay. I
still
thought
is the only one in the Star Wars universe that was conceived by the Force as of now. And I'm sure they'll probably never mess with that. But yeah, Leslie Headland said she would love to explain that further in the future. But yeah, that they were not created by the Force, not the
not
way
to
Anakin was.
go off onto a whole separate tangent because we're an hour 40 already, but I was never really satisfied with Anakin being made by the Force, like being like an
Mm,
immaculate. I just I for I don't think it was necessary. Like I liked that he came from like regular, like every man, like he was a slave boy basically on this little planet, but he had so much force potential. And I get that the force is almost a sentient thing where it's creating a balance, and they thought that the balance that he was going to have would be a good balance, and it wasn't. I guess it was more of a
mm.
bad balance, but there needed to be that good and the bad or whatever. But I don't know.
There's
I
your
just
package. Your package was
yeah,
just delivered.
yeah, my snake eyes is here, but I just I don't know. It always bothered me.
And that is a topic for another day.
Yeah, we'll have to dig into that another time.
So yeah, thank you. Like Greg said, thank you for all the comments and questions, you guys.
I appreciate
in the
you
comments.
guys so much.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for everybody who tuned in and watched today. Definitely head over to Greg's channel, New to Mythics. Check that out. He's got some fantastic content, some great interviews, and I can't say enough good things about that channel and that show. It's amazing. So go check it out every single week. New to Mythics.
Also,
New to
check out,
Mythics.
if you guys missed it, check out Mark's reviews and showcasing of the new Savage Crucible Wave 2. I know it's too late to get those pre-orders in, but you can also go to Big Bad Toy Store and probably Entertainment Earth. Those
Yeah,
figures
there's going to
look
be a lot. And
fantastic.
definitely check out Articulated Empire, because he's going to have them as well. Articulated Empire also is going to be having he is now an approved retailer of
Yes.
4 Horsemen products, so Mythics and Cosmics. So head over to Articulated Empire to get your Cosmics and pre-orders in. I've talked to Steve yesterday or a couple times this week, and I think he's
Super
going to
nice
send me
guy.
something, sending me some cosmic stuff to reveal soon, to review soon. So I'm looking forward to it. So thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching. I super appreciate it. And
Thank you,
remember,
guys.
Greg and I, we will see you in the toy aisles.